Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the WCS America Premier League round of 32. We are actually going right now, counting down into our final match of the evening. It's going to be another Protoss versus HuK against RevivaL.
Yep, and both players are ready, so we are ready, and we're already getting loaded into our first game, which is going to be played on King's Young Station, and we're speeding things up because, Nate, this is WCS America, which means we have a lot of Americans watching, which means that the Americans also want to watch the Miami Heat versus the Indiana Pacers. So this is going to be our last series of the day, and after that, we're all going to enjoy some basketball. Haha, just kidding. Either way, guys, the players are ready. We can go ahead and jump into game. It should be fun. Our first map, King's Young Station, second map, Frost, I believe. And the third map, if necessary, is going to be played on...
Overgrowth.
Overgrowth. All right.
So very, very standard map pool for this series. But we're starting it off here, guys. You can see in the top left position, we've got our foreigner chance to get through here to the round of 16. It is Evil Genius's HuK. The Canadian, we all want a Canadian in the round of 16. But you know, his opponent hit the semifinals last season from Cooler Master Storm. It is RevivaL. Playing
he's
quite
American
well himself.
as well. HuK is both. Double nationality. He's a little more Canadian than he's American, but he's both.
Yeah. we're good. We're good with most Canadians here in the U.S.
I know. Canadians are good with you guys as well. They call you guys your friendly southern neighbors or something like that. Friends from the south. It's really funny. I had this really cool conversation once with a taxi driver in Canada. I can't recall details. He was talking really funny about the US, but in a nice way. Like, he wasn't making fun of them in a bad way. Just kind of like, we are Canada and we like everybody way. Either way, curious to see how RevivaL is going to open. In the previous games on the two-player map, it's always been a drone scout for him. This time, I think no drone scout. HuK is going to open up a little different. No, actually, sorry guys, there is a drone making its way across the map.
Yeah, RevivaL's done this all three games he's played on this map. The drone scout and almost actually delays that Nexus.
That would have been really annoying for HuK actually. If that drone would have just been around there and like fighting circles or start fighting the probe, then HuK would have to send a second probe. Like, that kind of stuff can really throw you off your game already. Like we mentioned earlier today, series like this, it's all about momentum, and if you can't drop your Nexus because of a freaking drone, and then the drone actually like fights your probe and you have to send another probe, that's the type of stuff that can be extremely frustrating. So fortunately for HuK, he doesn't have to worry about that stuff. And right now he's slightly ahead because RevivaL did drone scout and he did not.
Yeah, RevivaL's going to go straight for that third hatchery, as we've seen him do quite a few times, or at the very least going for a third hatch, whether or not it's before the spawning pool.
I really kind of like this. Like, if we go back all the way to BlizzCon last year, you know, we kind of saw SOS, like, whenever he could cannon, he would cannon, and if he didn't, then at least like he bought some time with his probes. I feel like right now we are watching a reverse way of how SOS was playing PvZ back then. Like, RevivaL was playing ZVP with his scouting. It's just like, alright, if you can't cannon me, I'm gonna go double hatch before pool. If you are a forge, well then I'm just gonna drop my spawning pool before, and then you waste a little bit of money on the forge. It's kind of like, you know, turning the tables. Instead of like the Protoss having the answer and deciding how the Zerg is gonna open, the Zerg right now kind of has the answer. It's funny how
that's kind of cool. RevivaL feels confident enough that as long as he has the choice in how the build orders clash, he should have an advantage. And I mean, it's worked out reasonably well for him so far, at least in that series versus Hero. But overall in this series, I feel like HuK brings a very different flavor, although we kind of saw Hero and Pig Baby do similar strategies, or at least kind of similar strategies.
Yeah, and I had no idea why that was. Like, Hero's build on Frost was really bizarre to me. I mean, like, Colossus Void Ray, of course, is something that we have seen before, but like rushing into it that quickly on so few gates is not something I see very often. Either way, we see a Stargate opening over here from HuK. HuK can take this many ways. I'm personally expecting a Phoenix opening, but perhaps he's going to do something different. RevivaL on the other end is just macroing up for now. I think this could be the first game that we see RevivaL's old school style, or not even old school, but just the style that he displayed pretty successfully during WCS America Season 1 Premier League. It's just with a lot of links, a lot of roaches, then a mid-game transition into Swarm most, but just like anything between 8 and 12 Swarm most, and then having the follow-up ready with either more roaches, corruptors, tunneling claws, stuff like that. If you ask me personally, a very fun style of watching PvZ.
Yeah,
CVP.
Love seeing those roaches shark around. It's always kind of cool to see. It is an Oracle actually on the way. Was it?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Okay. You had an Oracle on the way.
I was kind of surprised by it, but I didn't mention it yet. Then he canceled it into Phoenix. I was like, nice, I was right all along.
You know, Phoenix into Oracle, then 2 more Stargates, huh?
And a second probe is making his way across the map, and he's doing it in a sneaky manner. But unfortunately for HuK, there is an Overlord lurking around over here, and he's going to find his second probe. This is really bad, because I think yeah, he RevivaL saw it. HuK didn't see the Overlord probably.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if HuK wanted to go for, let's say, 4 or 5 Phoenix into a bunch of gateway units, and either just like 3 additional gates, and then like 4, like Phoenix into 4 gate +1, or a mass gateway attack. But right now I think neither is going to work because RevivaL has scouted it, and HuK is probably like, come on man, this was my second probe. You saw the first one, but you're not supposed to find the second one.
Yeah, the Zergling will be able to deny anything from going up there, and that's kind of nice for RevivaL. You know, one way we could almost describe RevivaL is that he, in the games in the series that he's won, he's been mostly untouched in the early game. He's very good at responding and staying on top of his defense. And then, especially on this map, he's had a very interesting game versus Hero, where he just held one of the weirder strategies that we've seen in a while. As he does get up his lair, Spellcrawler's Queen gets caught out on a stroll.
I'm a little bit worried for HuK, even though we see RevivaL making a lot of Zerglings, so perhaps RevivaL's trying to have an answer ready. It's a little ballsy that RevivaL has played this without a Roach Warren. Is this a Roach Warren? Yeah, okay. Roach Warren is going down. It's kind of late though. Like, it could have been very hard for him to hold a bunch of gateway units with +1 and then Phoenix is above it, because his Roach would have been very late. HuK SimCity is going to have to be excellent. He needs to protect his Spider, and HuK is completely unaware of all of these Zerglings making their way across the map. He does have +1 almost ready. He can always warp in a few Zealots. This is really frustrating, I think, for HuK. I think he's going to lose his Nexus.
I think he just warped in his natural expansion. So these Zerglings with their surround gonna go for it. HuK bringing the sentries. He's gonna try to force field to save it. He's gonna at least lock the Zerglings in. He does have to cancel, but he wants to keep the Zerglings from escaping. That photon cannon adds a little bit of extra damage as well. So at the very least, he kills most of these lings.
Yeah, he killed a bunch of Zerglings, but I still think that that was absolutely mission accomplished over here for RevivaL. The only reason why he made those links was to cancel that Nexus, and he succeeded in doing so. We see a Spire go down right now after melee upgrades are going on the way as well. So kind of bizarre playstyle over here by RevivaL. It's like upgraded Zerglings into, I don't know.
And he's seeing the Spire as well. Those Phoenix were able to get a glimpse of it. So with the robotics bay on the way, HuK needs to be careful how much he wants to commit into this Robotech, as we've already seen quite a few times, really, RevivaL go for these big Mutalisk plays.
HuK dodging a bullet over there because his Zealot was not on hold position, so it was very close, or all of those Zerglings could have just ran into his main base. We see a second Spire going down over here for RevivaL, so probably another very big commitment to air. This time HuK perhaps picking up on it, or not this time because it's the first time he plays on it, but HuK perhaps being ready for this. As he's already continuing Phoenix production, and he's even dropping the fleet beacon. And I think the moment he's going to find that second Spire, HuK is going to be like, yeah buddy, I think I can deal with this.
Yeah, that'll be very nice for him. He hasn't started any additional Stargates yet, but as long as he keeps his Phoenix count moving up and up and up, he can get that the Phoenix range upgrade very easily with how fast he got that fleet beacon. And I'm mostly wondering, so RevivaL's bit tilting based on both sides of the map. He's done this a lot where he just expands all over the place. And if the worst comes to worst, if he gets one of them shut down, he still has the other base safe to mine from.
It's just very smart, because once you play an upgraded Zergling style and your opponent is making either big slow units or making air units, you just know that like your Zerglings are not going to lose the battle on the ground, so you will have map control and you can just expand all over the place, because it's hard for Protoss in this phase in the game to deny any bases. So it all makes sense. HuK wasting... No HuK. No. Gold League heroes. Stop. That was a waste of energy if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, picking up Zerglings is fun sometimes.
Yeah, but not picking up 4 Zerglings when you have 4 Phoenixes, Nathan.
Well,
that's not smart.
Party in the clouds, I guess. He's getting a Colossus out. Colossus, of course, good versus Zerglings, but with so many Mutalisks and Corruptors on the production tab, so many already out on the map, that's where things can get a little bit scary. He's got 8 Corruptors, 5 Mutas are on the way. He already has 5 on the field. And this is just like the super mobile force as well. And I think on a map like this where you have so much airspace, if he can overpower those Phoenix, then he can take this pretty quickly because that fleet beacon was finished, but he hasn't actually done anything with it yet.
The good thing for HuK is that he has cannons in position and he already has fleet beacon range or Phoenix range, and he impulse crystals, I believe it's called. So, like, at least he can sort of fight this, and he doesn't have to worry too much about these corruptors. Yeah, these corruptors still suck, but we can see he's already trading much better than Hero was. Look at the units loss counts, by the way. HuK only dropping 2 units so far throughout this entire game. Is even harassing a little bit. Now, of course, RevivaL has a very good economy, so losing a few drones over here on the right side of the map is not necessarily the end of the world, but at least HuK is buying time for himself. He's forcing RevivaL to defend instead of just controlling the map and attack and dominate. So I like how HuK is playing this out so far. Like, in all honesty, HuK is playing a better PvZ already than Hero was.
Yeah, this is a really nice, at least trying to control the ebb and flow of this game. Pylon on the right side will get picked off by RevivaL, and HuK immediately sends all the Phoenix over. Of course, these Zerglings want to try to abuse any distraction in the center of the map. Grabs a drone, maybe two. But you're right, that having that Anion Pulse Crystal so preemptively is really, really sweet. He's getting his +1 flying attack, and there was some units moving towards the left side, but the Zerglings are able to get those.
We have air weapons, Nate.
Air weapons.
Zerg have flyer attacks. We see a bunch of Zerglings cleaning up Zealots on the left side of the map. I still love that HuK tried though. Like, I think it's really important that he tried. Because you don't want to just give Zerg absolute freedom and that you're just sitting back and not doing anything. So even though this Zealot harassment might not be that effective, he shouldn't do this. He has to be careful with his Phoenixes. They're still very expensive. I guess he was microing at home or macroing at home for a little bit. So HuK is trying to make stuff happen. He's warping in 2 additional Stargates right now, as it was getting a little hard for him to spend his money. You know, of course RevivaL is going to have a nice upgrade advantage. This double Spire is kind of intimidating though.
Has he thrown away too much is what I'm really concerned about, how many Phoenix he lost earlier. He's actually hallucinated a very large additional number. Maybe trying to force him back, but RevivaL is not biting on it just yet. He's just hovering these Mutalisks in hold position on top of this base while the Corruptors fight anything that gets close. And, you know, he's picked off a good number of workers, but the Mutalisks have mostly been cleaned up.
Yeah, there are no more Mutalisks, but there's still a bunch of Corruptors. Of course, more Mutas will make their way across the map. I guess this was an okay trade for RevivaL just because he has such a sick economy and he's a ridiculous amount of units. But he's taking a little bit of a beating as well. Like, that wasn't free for RevivaL at all. But in the end, I think it was worth it. Well, my PC is frozen. Oh no. Oh no. Why now?
That's
good.
Okay. Not good. Hopefully everything.
Shout out to Team Liquid.
Right, we're back.
We're back. Well, I didn't do anything there. If it happens again, of course, I will leave the game and we can just broadcast this series from Nate's point of view. Either way, we have 3 Void Rays on the production tab right now. There are almost no more Phoenixes. I kind of feel that this went from bad to worse for HuK.
Yeah, this is just one of those situations where he lost that first huge chunk of his Phoenix, and then, you know, trying to hallucinate him is a cute maneuver, but it doesn't actually help you kill this force. And he's got uncontested air dominance. He could park these Corruptors on top of the Stargates for the rest of the game, and nothing would be able to break through.
RevivaL.
Even contaminating individual Stalkers.
Yeah. RevivaL is just rolling all over Protoss players today with mass air, despite it failing the first game against Big Baby. After that, every single game where he made Mutalisk and Corruptors, this gives me flashbacks to Wings of Liberty when we didn't know how to deal with this. GG is called. RevivaL will take a 1-0 lead over here in the final series of the day against HuK. I think you hit the nail on the coffin there. Like, you cannot lose your Phoenix Cloud. Like, you one time have a lot of Phoenixes and you have to keep them alive. You have to babysit them. I think one moment where we clearly saw that HuK was macroing perhaps a bit at home. He wiped in a bunch of gateways, 2 extra Stargates. Maybe he could have gotten those a little quicker as well because he had the money for it. And I think, like, the moment you lose, when you go from like 13 to 5 Phoenixes, suddenly your Phoenixes really pose no threat to the Corruptors anymore at all. So that's the moment that RevivaL's like, cool, now I can just fly in, and yeah, you may have cannons, you may have a few Stalkers, and you may have a Photon Overcharge. It's not going to change the outcome of this battle because my Corruptors are beefy.
And yeah, the other thing is very important that you mentioned is the double Spire. Like, if the upgrades are really well, trying to hold on against those Phoenix, we had the upgrade advantage versus those. They barely tickle the Corruptors at that point, especially when that numbers advantage is lost. And it was just fantastic play by RevivaL, and I'm not really surprised to see this out of him. He's been mostly untouchable in the early game for a lot of these series, except in that match versus Pig Baby. But he's recovered phenomenally, and I'm kind of right now trying to think in my head, like, what can HuK do to bring this series back? Because this could end up being a pretty swift 2-0.
And like it's really hard. Like even when you have Phoenixes, I think it's really hard to play against Muda Corrupted. There are a few Protoss players out there who are really good against it, and they're like, yeah, sure, bring it on. I don't mind being in the dark for a little while. Waste all your money on Mutalisk and Corruptors. I just get cannons, I get some Archons, and I get Phoenixes to buy time. Eventually, I have Storm, and they make it work. But I think it's one of the most challenging strategies to face when playing Protoss. Like it's very multitasking intensive, and hey, we Protoss players, we struggle a little bit with that. Like
Yeah.
we like to keep our army together, and above all, it's powerful. But it is possible, and I think HuK was on the right track for a long time. Eventually, it went wrong, so maybe you should try to prevent him from getting there. But I don't know. If RevivaL wants to do this, he's probably going to do this again. And like I said just a couple of seconds ago, I don't think HuK was going wrong for a very long time. Like he was trying with Zealots. I think he could have dropped additional Stargates a little quicker, especially when he realized, like, hey, this is double Spire. He's upgrading on both Spires. This is pretty serious. Like, I might as well get some extra Stargates myself.
Yeah, I agree. It was nice that he had the preemptive fleet beacon and he had the upgrade. Like when he first started putting out the Phoenix, the Corruptors and the Mutalisks, like HuK was right there. He was able to go toe to toe with him. It's just that's a setup where it's a lot about the momentum. You lose your Phoenix Cloud, and recovering that's going to take so much time, so many minerals. You have no bank at the end, and then RevivaL's still floating around, taking bases all over the map. And the regular harass, those Mutalisks are very good at stopping anything that tries to squeeze in and harass those bases.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, is HuK going to do the same thing as he was doing on King Seong, which looked okay for a while, then eventually, maybe because of one or two minor errors, he fell apart? But probably if he's going to do the same thing, then he will most likely give RevivaL the freedom to do the same strategy again as well. And RevivaL seems very confident today in his Muda Corruptor action. Either way, our players are ready. We are ready. Our second map is going to be played on Frost. So I'm going to fire it up right now. Tournament Live is on the line for EG HuK. He made it twice to the round of 16 already. Is he still able to make it a third time in a row? Or is it going to be RevivaL who is going to finish up or follow up that impressive performance in Season 1 with another potential deep run in Season 2?
It would definitely be good to see either of these guys. Both very good players. It's cool to watch both of them play. They have their own unique styles, and I think that's one of the reasons why there's probably quite a few people that are torn on him. I feel like HuK's got a lot of people cheering for him, especially the way that he opened up in this group. But we're loaded into Frost, our incredibly popular, the map of the night here.
Map of the year.
At WCS, that's not wrong either. As we have in the top right position, our red Zerg player from Cooler Master Storm. It is RevivaL. Opened up with a very convincing victory after HuK. We played solid, and I mean, here is our solid player in the bottom left, who, he at the beginning seemed like he had a good grip on the situation, but could not finish the game. It is Evil Genius's HuK.
I think HuK can be quite pleased that it's not horizontal, unless he had something special planned on those spawning locations, because that can be okay spawning locations to go for some crazy two-base push. We know that HuK loved in the past, but these days I think he's quite confident in his 3 or more base style. It's tricky, man. It really is, going up against a player like RevivaL. We do see HuK opening up with the gateway in his main base, so maybe he has been watching that series earlier today between PigBaby and RevivaL that was played on Frost. And he's like, hey, RevivaL, he seems to pretty much always go double hedge before pool. With either 3 or 4 gate pressure, I will be able to get some serious damage done as well.
It would certainly be very interesting to see how that clashes, as the hatchery first has been chosen by RevivaL. I want to see if that extra drone goes out to the third base, because this is a build that when you open up with this fast gateway, even that initial Zealot Mothership core got a lot done for PigBaby in his match on this map. And for HuK, he's kind of one of those players, when you look at him, at least what he was known for most of the last couple of years, he's a very heavy gateway aggression player. He loves his gateway units. Very fast pushes, 1, 2, 3, however many bases. He loves to bring those big attacks. And this is one of those situations where it might actually be good because, again, another double hatch.
Yep, I think really HuK is prepared for this. I think this is why HuK went for the gateway in his main. Of course, I can't be certain. He didn't drop a pylon yet on the low ground, which I'm a little bit surprised by. I guess it doesn't matter that much. We'll see. I kind of wonder. I think this is just a confirmation probe. I really think that HuK is expecting this. This is just a confirmation probe. Make sure that what I think I'm playing against is indeed what I'm playing against. Yep, my opponent is not switching it up again. By the way, RevivaL is a stubborn little guy, as he again dropped his third base over here, and he didn't drop it over here. Perhaps he hates this high ground cliff. If pylons go up over here, then he has to run around. I'm not exactly sure. Either way, the Nexus goes down in the natural for HuK. This is all standard. And now we keep a close eye on the amount of gates. And look at the energy as well that's saved up on this Nexus.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see a lot of the chrono boosts into that, as Mothership Core is now on the way as well. And you see he's not even chrono boosting the Mothership Core out. He really wants to get those that gateway done fast. Or warp gate, excuse me. And the first additional gateway has been dropped at that natural area. He still has a probe out, and it's actually not really in the vicinity of any overlords that are heading towards it.
Yeah, this probe is definitely pretty well hidden. Taking a look at the main base of RevivaL, we see no extractors down just yet. Not in the main, not in the natural, and of course not at this base over here either. But we do see a center. Okay, that's just a defensive sentry. There's 3 more gates, 2 gates at the front, 1 gate hidden in the back. So this is extremely similar to what PigBaby was doing. Now, Nate, I don't know if you recall earlier today, I was very I'm sure you do, but maybe some other people don't. I was really surprised by the amount of zealots that PigBaby wiped in.
Yeah.
Because I think normally in a phase in a game like this, if you start dancing back and forth with Stalkers, I personally think that is a little more effective. Yes, sure, like you can produce a crazy amount of slow Zerglings of 3 hatcheries, but in the end of the day, slow Zerglings are slow Zerglings. Stalkers can out-micro that, especially if your Stalker ball grows to 6 or 7. I think you can straight up win the game with that. We'll see if HuK is more of the Zealot hype train or of the Stalker hype train. And if HuK is from the Zealot hype train, then I wonder, are those Zealots going to be as effective as the Zealots of PigBaby? Because if they are, well, then I'm going to have to rethink my the way that I see this.
Yeah, his Mothership Core also is starting to make its way across. Roach Warren is halfway done, but his time warp may not be immediately available unless he waits for the second warp in. It's still just Zealots so far.
Yeah, RevivaL knows it's coming as well. His Roach Warren is a lot later, I feel, than it was before. Because in the previous game, he was already having like 4 or 5 Roaches on the production tab before the attack started. Right now, it is just Zealots. Of course, with this Mothership Core over here as well, HuK can always recall out. We see 5 Roaches on the production tab. Now let's not forget, this is a little bit of a commitment for HuK as well. Of course it is successful, don't get me wrong, as he gets his hatchery without breaking his sweat. He probably could have wiped in only sentries and he would have still gotten that hatchery. There are 11 Roaches on the production right now as well. HuK has to be careful, don't lose the Mothership Core, HuK. There are 2 Queens over here, there are a bunch of Roaches spawning right now. If I was HuK, I'd recall.
Yeah, recalling would definitely be a good choice. He's trying to get away from the Queen, has to use the Time Warp in order to save the Mothership Core. And these Roaches, he actually gets to fight head-to-head with them. The Zealots get on top. Picks off just 1, and as these Roaches give chase, of course, it's too early in the game for Roach speed to be a factor, so HuK should be able to escape if he just runs home.
Alright, we see the robotics facility. Start whopping in a bunch of sentries, and as soon as the sentry count goes up, he can follow this up with Immortal Sentry. But there is one difference though. This time RevivaL evacuated workers he had at the 3rd base. He also didn't lose as many Roaches to the Zealots. He didn't lose the Queens like he did against PigBaby. So I feel, despite losing this 3rd hatch, this is nowhere near as bad as it was earlier today.
No, for sure. And this little gateway force actually manages to force field in, pinch off a Roach or 2. And he wants to pressure this 3rd base once again. This is one of those things where Zergling speed isn't done yet, so he has to make those Roaches to really deal with this. Expensive. And, you know, forcing RevivaL into Roaches while he's building Immortals, this is just really rounding out his composition quite nicely.
Definitely, but I'm still holding my breath a little bit. Like, I really like how HuK has played this so far, and it all looked alright. He didn't really do anything wrong, and he got the damage done that he was looking for. But I think it's very important that he doesn't overestimate how far ahead he is. Like, I think he's ahead, he's in a good position, and a lot of Zerg players will probably hate to be in this position. But this is not like I'm that far ahead that if I make 2 Immortals, I move my way across the map and I win. He's still gonna have to go in the right way at this. Like, he's gonna have to be careful with his force fields, he's gonna have to drop good ones, maybe micro the Immortals a little bit, because RevivaL didn't take the same economic damage as he did earlier today.
Yeah. He's getting Burrow, though. You know, we kind of mentioned at least what we like to see out of RevivaL, Burrowed Roach play. It's definitely one of the more exciting things to have pop up in almost any matchup, to be honest. And it can also act as a weird way to bypass the force fields if you want to get to those Immortals, especially since has HuK even put out any observers? No.
The first one is on the production tab right now as well. HuK poked in with his Mothership Core there, and what he saw was a completely empty third base. So he knows that RevivaL is making a lot of units. You know, it would have actually been that bad for HuK if he decides to go up to 3 bases himself, or at least wipe in the Nexus. But right now, Overlords are spreading creep on both potential additional bases for HuK. So I think from this point on, it's going to be very hard. We see the Hydralisk then going down as well. HuK is dropping a Twilight though, so he is a little bit worried that this push might not be the game-ending push that he was originally hoping for.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He's moving out, good number of units. Infestation Pit is on the way. The Tunneling Claws upgrade as well for those roaches. And this Infestation Pit, I think could end up, you know, we could have those Swarmos come out, but look at this. Zergling's heading towards that natural expansion. There is nothing here to block. He's going to get right inside. These probes are potentially just going to be free farm here. More gateways are under construction, but this is a bit of an awkward position to be in. He's losing probes left and right.
Haven't heard that term in ages. But yes, you are right. Those probes are very exposed. Great run by for RevivaL, who is immediately going to abandon this third base. Few forces will trap a few drones, but there are so many Hydralisks on the production tab as well. Tunneling Claws is halfway done. RevivaL is up 32 army supply. This is not like this can still go either way, but I really like a couple of burrowed Zerglings as well. I think that RevivaL can hold this, but of course HuK can win this as well. The force fields so far are excellent, but he needs to actually be able to kill these units.
Yeah, those force fields holding the army back. He does have to recall, so he'll live to fight another day. Those Zerglings, of course, as you mentioned, still. It's a good use of burrow. He still has not built any observers.
He had one, I thought. Maybe he canceled it for Warp Prism. I don't know what happened to the observer.
And look at this. See, the thing is, RevivaL's already set up. The Enduring Locust upgrade is in the production. He's getting this. He can go into Swarm Hosts, and that kind of forces you out of this just gateway Immortal Force.
Yeah, and look at this army as well. Like, this is just an awful army.
The Roach. There's
there's
still no observer.
Oh my god.
They're going to move in. He could get right under this whole army.
They on burrow on top of this army.
Oh, is he? Oh,
I think he's going to spread out, which is not
spread out. That's not bad.
No, not bad at all. Not as exciting. Not as big of an anticlimax. This is going to be super frustrating for HuK to deal with. I think that HuK is going to lose a ridiculous amount of probes over here. Oh, look at that. Let's keep some probes over here as well.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting setup that's happening. He's getting his Swarm House out behind this, and you know, moving all of his roaches feels a bit weird, but it's going to buy him a lot of time. I feel like if he would have been able to disable that robotics facility without any observer, that would have really done a nice job for him, because just now the first observer pops out. Hydralisk's fighting the sentries on the right side, and the roaches are still everywhere in the main and natural.
This is the scrappiest fight I've seen in a long time, but these Hydras will die on the right side. The roaches, of course, have taken out so many probes. Almost no probes remaining anymore for HuK. Even the robotics bay is taking quite a bit of damage right now. The robo bay is going to fall eventually. So RevivaL has pretty much sacrificed his entire army for a bunch of probes, but he also took down the robo bay. That means no more Colossus. There's no money behind this for HuK. Like in the end, I think it's safe to say this was a brilliant decision by RevivaL. Absolutely brilliant.
And this was that was pretty awesome to see the way that he pulled this off. And now he has Swarm Host. You said it. No robo bay. No more Colossus. He's going to finish one. He's building another robotics bay. But already these locusts, like, I don't even... Where are the Swarm Hosts? Just came in a little drive-by and ran away.
Just like letting it... This is like the mental victory. Just letting you know. No, hey, you're probably worried about Swarm Hosts, right? I got
By the way, this is waiting for you at my base, baby.
Yeah. Please try to run across the map right now because you think I have no army. Just so you know, I have Swarm Hosts.
And you know, he's also got Zerglings burrowed on those third bases as well. He knows that HuK does not really have an economic follow-up to this. He's just got this army, and replacing this, I don't think is feasible for him.
I don't think so either. 63 drones right now for RevivaL against only 26 probes from HuK. HuK has played some excellent StarCraft throughout the entire day, but I'm afraid he's going to fall short over here. He is going to try. He does still have a Warp Prism as well on the north side of the map, but the thing is, one Colossus cannot break 11 Swarmos. There's just no way, Jose.
Zerglings managed to squeeze into the natural in the midst of all of this. These Locusts continue to push this army back. Puts that Warp Prism into phase mode so he can start to warp in units here. Guardian Shield is popped, but he's just trading his Gateway army versus these Locusts. He has not managed to reach the Roach Force or the Swarm Hosts just yet. He has enough force fields to lock this, lock the Locust wave away, which is quite nice, but still his natural being completely ravaged. His force fields will hold him off, but he has to kill all of this and still somehow escape and kill it all again to come back here. This is a really rough spot. Moves up the main base ramp. He's going to try to just force field this off, but those burrow roaches don't care about force fields. They're coming in right under this army on burrows, and there is absolutely nothing that HuK's army can do to stop this. GG. RevivaL is going to go to the round of 16 here at WCS America once again.
Powerful performance by RevivaL here, really. Like, this was not an easy game for him. HuK caught him out of position a little bit early on, but I really love how quickly RevivaL learned from his mistakes early today. Like, back then, he didn't just lose the hatchery, he also lost some drones in the main. He lost queens, he lost roaches. Here he said, like, all right, sure, go ahead. Please wipe in 12 zealots while you're on 29 workers. I'm on 35 drones, but I'm on 2 bases, so I will stabilize on my roaches. Yeah, you take out my base, but I'm still ahead in workers. Like, this is not the end of the world for me. HuK made a couple of good decisions as well. Like, he recalled out on the right moment, I think. But in the end, like, that roach run by, that was really sick. HuK's lack of observer really cost him in this game.
Yeah, I still just, you know, even for the style points, if you pick off the robotics facility, then that's it. As you guys can see, this was such a clean maneuver. I mean, I guess the roaches all getting congested at the entrance point was kind of funny to see. But just splitting between the 2 bases, there's no detection. He takes out the robotics bay tech and pulls this whole army in well. And the best part about all of this is he switched into swarm host so smoothly that this entire army is kind of invalidated by that army composition of the swarm host with the roach support.
Look at this fight. There's just like units everywhere. I couldn't zoom out any further, even though I tried. But you know, the Hydra's fighting over there on the right. There are roaches in the natural, roaches in the main. Really well done here by RevivaL. He just split his army up excellently. And you know, fighting 3 units is always tough, but the only thing that's worse than fighting 3 units is fighting 3 units when you have no money, when you have no economy anymore at home. So that means that every unit you lose is a unit that you most likely can't replace, and that is something that's very smart from RevivaL. He's like, cool, I completely wrecked your economy right now. You only have a single Colossus. There's just no way you're going to be able to counterattack. HuK felt he had to do something because, like, hey, I did just kill an entire army, but 11 swarm hosts is already way too much to push into. It's just not doable.
No, not at all. And it was kind of cool. We got to see at least one game where some of RevivaL's mobile swarm hosts came into play, although it was pretty much by the time that he'd already won the map. So congratulations to him for moving on to the round of 16, though. He will be joined by Pig Baby. Interesting results for the group today.
Definitely. Let's just go over them all again once more and take a look at the bracket, how it all played out today. Our first series of the day was RevivaL versus Pig Baby. Pig Baby was surprisingly strong in that series, defeating RevivaL 2-0, especially after we saw RevivaL's later PvZ. We saw HuK defeat Hero again for the 2nd season in a row, and he came so close to defeating Pig Baby as well. It was an entertaining, fun PvP series in which Pig Baby was able to pull through in the end. Then in the losing match, a match that I was personally a little bit disappointed by, as we saw Hero lose against RevivaL rather decisively. And last but not least, we just saw RevivaL taking out HuK. Fun first day of StarCraft, I think. RevivaL really showing some power as EVP, showing that he's not one player to mess with, despite losing against Pig Baby. I feel like if they play again, it could be different.
Yeah, for sure. I just really impressed by the way that RevivaL played so solid. Like, he didn't need to do anything extremely gimmicky. His mid-game army composition transitions were a bit outside the current meta, but still solid enough that it didn't really seem like there was anything you could find a hole in his play. So really excited to see RevivaL move further. He's one of the Zergs that brings a cool play style to WCS America, and looking forward to seeing him in the round of 16.
Yeah, we can also see that he has learned from last season where he got so close to making it to BlizzCon, despite having a fantastic run in Season 1. In the rest of the year, he just didn't get that many WCS points. Right now, he's already saying, like, hey, at least round of 16, give me those points. I'm getting closer and closer to at least putting himself very high up there on that ranking. Because, of course, there are so many WCS points up for grabs within WCS. Let's take a look at tomorrow's matches, because tomorrow we'll just be back again, guys, and we're going to bring you some more awesome StarCraft. And as I said earlier, I have actually no idea who's playing tomorrow. I think I've seen the groups before. Wow, my eyes are not that good, but I believe it's Bomber, Crank, Nesty, and Masa. There we go.
That should be a really cool group, getting to break out the first Terrans here in WCS America. And, of course, Crank and Nesty, always a treat to see those guys play as well.
Yeah, super fun group. Bomber, of course, on paper, a big favorite. Nesty, once upon a time, the creator of the universe. But, I mean, he was almost down and out already in Challenger, but he bounced back after he defeated Iguas 3-2.